We're on a roll there too.
Yeah, that was upsetting. That was exactly how I like to start the podcast, is like
Yeah.
just be in conversation and then like
That's okay. We just recorded
12 minutes.
a good chunk, and Ozzy didn't have the receiver on.
So
I'm just kidding.
So the mics weren't on. No, to be honest, I make a lot of little mistakes. The amount of times I've filmed with someone outside and not like covered my camera and the battery just overheats, so I have like 3 different. So it will be like me talking and then like a chunk and it will just jump, and it's not me cutting anything out. It's like the battery overheated and I didn't notice. And so now I just didn't turn on. That like feels bad to me because it's like it's such a preventable mistake. That one was really bad of me just not turning on the mic.
No worries.
But I need to just take it as a learning experience.
No worries, dude. It's part, yeah.
Today, I'm here with Ryan Ng. He is one of the founders of Creator Camp, which is... Do you want to explain Creator Camp?
Yeah. So Creator Camp is a community that acts kind of as a backbone to a lot of the artistic creators that don't necessarily get the communal support that maybe the typical creators that you kind of see on YouTube get, whether that's because, you know, they can't make enough money to get out of their parents' house, or, you know, kind of being an artist on the internet is a very lonely thing. You're just in your room all the freaking time. And it kind of came out of a necessity because myself and my friends needed it. And we were trying to build a house that kind of didn't work out. So we instead tried to kind of think bigger, and we're like, you know what? Fuck a 10-person house. We'll throw a 35-person event instead. And this event came to be called Creator Camp. And yeah, that's kind of the gist. Now the community's fucking gigantic. You're a part of the community.
Yeah.
And we're currently in Versi, which is a co-working space in New York City. And a lot of Creator Camp guys are here as well. And now I feel like I can go all across the country and I won't feel lonely, you know? I could be in Oklahoma and I won't feel lonely because I have my friends in Oklahoma and Vegas and California and Europe. So
I don't know if Chris ever relayed this idea, but I gave him an idea for Creator Camp. Was to add a section to the website that is a map of the U.S. and everyone.
That would be really
everyone who's gone to Creator Camp like pins their on it, so that like
we would be doxing people though.
No, you don't pin like your address. You just like pin your city or something, and then if someone
that is a cool idea.
Traveling, they can like maybe they put their email on there. They're not giving away their phone numbers or something.
No, that's a sick idea.
And maybe you only get the password to that part of the website once you've attended an event or something. Like there's a lot of ways to make it.
I really like that idea. No, thank you for that.
I'm glad. That means Chris didn't pass the idea along. Just kidding, Chris. I love you. Actually, looking back on Creator Camp, to me, it seems like a no-brainer that it would be successful because, and I want to get your opinion on this. I want to like acknowledge that everything you said is true. This is a lonely road, and I watched your video on dropping out, and it was my favorite of your videos because it was the one I related to the most. And
this was the NYU one?
NYU.
Dropout one? There were so many dropout films.
No, it was the one College Dropout watches his friends graduate.
Oh, okay. Got it. I didn't like that film.
I don't think it's your best like edited one. Yeah. Or like, but to me, it was the one I related to the most. And so that's why it really spoke to me, especially the part when you're talking about how earlier this year was actually right when you came to San Diego before, like it was, I really felt watching all my friends graduate online. Like I was so happy for them, but I felt like this inner sorrow because I knew that like those pictures with them in the caps and gowns were a reminder to me of all the memories I chose not to have. Like, it was like I left, and there's a select group of memories, whether it's throwing your hat in the air, or the college parties, or whatever the like last year of senior year of college is like, and I just chose not to have that. Looking back, I'm so happy because I'd rather be here. There's no way one of my college friends walks into Versity. Like or they're traveling the world with Chris and Elliot, and like I know that I prefer this life, but it's hard to accept. I don't know what it is. It's just, I just appreciated that you acknowledged it for what it is.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because I used to, because I would like see these Instagram statistics, or maybe Instagram's not the best place to get statistics, but like it's like only 1 out of every 5 businesses, or like 4 out of every 5 businesses fail in the first like 5 years or something like that, something crazy. Or maybe the percentage is even higher for the businesses that fail, and we're on like year 2. So we'll see. But like, to have a business model or like a business and a community work like this is like very rare, I realized, and it's just something that we stumbled upon. And it wasn't building a business for the sake of building a business. I don't see myself as an entrepreneur. I think the other 3 guys see themselves a lot more entrepreneurial than I do, but I just like needed something, and that's why Creator Camp exists. And I think that's really interesting. I don't know how I got that lucky, but
I forgot to kind of elaborate on why I thought like it's so obvious that you guys would be successful. And that's because, like where I was going with this whole rant about dropping out is that I think I made the right decision. Actually, no, I feel, and not even as like making the right decision for myself personally, I think that it's going to be really, really hard to be an entrepreneur now because we are now competing against AI. And I think that AI is going to evolve every industry. It's going to evolve. If I wanted to create a new business, I'm now competing against like AI. Like say I wanted to code an app. Well, there's going to be an AI that can code it. Say I want to it's whatever. AI is going to work its way into every business, as we're already seeing it happen.
Yeah.
But the thing to me that I don't think AI will touch, and I actually think it will make worse, is loneliness. And so when I look at my life where I'm like, oh, if I want to be an entrepreneur in any sort, like I don't have the coding skills to compete with AIs and these geniuses. I don't have the business skills to compete with geniuses in AI. I don't have the food skills to compete with food industries integrating AI. But I know that I have a lot to say about loneliness, and I know that loneliness is only getting worse. So I feel that a lot of people feel unlucky to be in this kind of area because it's like almost a scary thing. We're about to enter recession. We're about to compete against AI. But for me, I feel blessed because I've gone down a route of like solving loneliness, and I think that is one of the problems that is just getting worse.
Yeah.
Worse. And so I feel
fascinating.
as long as I can do something to improve loneliness, I feel that I will always have a job. But why I specifically think Creator Camp was bound to be successful is because creators specifically is such a lonely world.
Yeah.
People don't realize that because they see these numbers of millions of subscribers, millions of followers, and they think it's like the least lonely world. But those,
like I don't know what people like. But I guess it depends on what type of creator you want to become. There's so many types of creators now, like part-time, you have a job, and then you create on the side. But like, and I'm speaking just for myself and the artistic creators of the world. If you want to go back and look at what YouTube used to be, Lily Singh, Liza Koshy, David Dobrik, Casey Neistat, Emma Chamberlain, Ryan Higa, Kev Jumba, all of those people, which one of those are still uploading consistently to this day? Like none of them.
Yeah.
And I would label them maybe not as artists, but as personalities and as people that are sharing something very personal to them, to the world, whether that's through comedy, whether that's through lifestyle vlogs or skits, right? And I think the reason why a lot of it doesn't even exist today, it is because of the loneliness. You're just in your room all the time. You're like not leaving because you have to edit, you have to come up with the idea, you have to film it, whatever, and then you have to edit it, make sure it's all in the right deadline for the brand deals. And it's like you never leave your room. And even like Anthony, Anthpo, who's a good friend of mine, like he just quit. He quit in like this really grand way. He like announced his retirement 2 years before he retired. But like even him, like who I thought was kind of the last thing holding that together, it's like stopped and is gone. Myself even, like I don't know how much longer I can do this for. But I think the community gives me hope in that we can find a sustainable way to make this type of creator a reality for longer than 5 years. Could it last for your lifetime? Could it last till you're 80? I don't know.
I think that's the interesting thing though, is that like I've personally been on YouTube for 4 years, and I know I've met people who have 1 million subscribers who are not as happy as me. And I think that like how you said, I'm so happy that I didn't become successful earlier on, because I feel that it's harder to have these realizations later, because if you're already juggling a merch brand and a YouTube channel and business and people work underneath you, and then you go, hey, I want to have more time with other people. Well, that comes at the cost of your brand. That comes at the cost of your employees.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel so grateful to have figured these things out now, because, and I feel so grateful to like just kind of scrape my way into the Creator Camp community, because it's like what I personally realized, and I don't know if it would be the same for you, is that I'm not like a passionate filmmaker. That's what I thought I was. But I am really passionate about the world, the people here, and like the way they think and there was an Elliot Bisnow quote that like completely changed my world, and it was pretty much the reason why I dropped my YouTube channel and switched to this podcast.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, Elliot Bisnow runs a company where he's met the most famous people in the world. He's had the craziest experiences in the world. And someone asked him what was his favorite part about being an entrepreneur. And he said, my favorite part about being an entrepreneur is having co-founders. And when I heard that, it kind of shattered my world, because I, at the time, was grinding YouTube videos, but every part of the process was alone. Sometimes other people would be in the videos, but I filmed the videos. I was the main actor. I was the main editor. For the most part, I was the only person who cared how they performed. And I was like, even if I released this video and it got 10 million views and I had 1 million subscribers, like this process is alone. Like the only thing that would be changing is like my funding for the process, and like how maybe it would be a little bit easier. I could hire an editor, but like the process is alone. And I'm like an extreme extrovert, so I don't like that. And I switched to the podcast because I was like, at the very least, like the process is with me and you. And like, even if this gets 0 views, if I'm measuring by soul wealth, it's wealth metrics, money, possessions, achievements, soul wealth metrics, relationships, and memories. This podcast gets 0 views. Well, what did I build? A relationship with you? Created a memory here? Well, if that's how I measure my success, then like, I don't need to wait to find out if I'm successful.
That's beautiful, dude. Yeah. I think a couple of months ago, I really had to reframe what success meant to me, because I don't know if it was my last video or the video before that, but I uploaded it and I was like, dude, holy fuck, like I'm gonna be depressed for the rest of my life if like I don't change anything, because I'm like, my gauge for my happiness right now is based off of the metrics. And my mom was like, when a video does bad, like I'm scared to leave you alone at home, because like you get so depressed. And I realized like, even though like my whole channel is about like pushing back, like a lot of where my self-worth was coming from was the views and stuff like that. So I really had to reframe my mindset. And I don't know, a couple months ago, something in the back of my head was like whispering to me, but I just didn't listen to it because I'm like, how could I like do that before I do like succeed? But something in my head was whispering like, dude, like maybe you shouldn't be making videos right now. Like maybe you shouldn't be making videos right now, and you should be focusing on your health. Like, I think that's really important. Like, and this was like this little guy that's like whispering in the back of my head, like, maybe you should start working out again and like building those habits. Like, stop sleeping at 3 a.m. and waking up at like 12 p.m. Like, start, you know, waking up and sleeping earlier. Start eating healthier. Like, spend a year doing that and building good habits. And then maybe you can make films again. But that was such a couple months ago, that was such a foreign idea to me. You know, I'm like, I'm gonna fall behind. Like, my friends are going to all be my friends are all going to be significantly more successful than I am, and I'm going to be stuck here. I'm going to be healthy, but like, I'm still going to be living with my parents. I'm still going to be doing whatever. But that mindset has completely shifted. And now, like, I'd much rather spend 2 hours a day working on my YouTube channel and it not being sustainable than to just destroy myself.
Yeah.
Because my last 2 videos, I've reached the peak of that. I did not sleep at all. And like, it was really bad. I don't think I ever want to relive that. But people don't see this part of the creator industry, the 3 a.m. nights and like the being alone and doing it and being unsure that all this work that you're putting in is worth anything. It's also, I'll say like, it is like, even the fact that I get to think about doing this is a very privileged thing. But it's hard, dude. It's hard.
I think a really interesting thing that you probably experienced, maybe that I definitely experienced, was like, I did YouTube for a long time and I enjoyed it, but I went to school. And so like, going to school was like my parents, like my way of telling my parents like, yo, I'm still pursuing like a real career or something they believed in.
Yeah.
And when I left school, I thought of it as like, oh, I have way more time to create. I'm going to like get to surround myself with more creators and I'm not going to have to waste time on homework and stuff. But 2 things happened, which one is life became a lot more lonely because my school friends didn't just turn into creator friends. But the harder thing, I think that maybe you briefly covered, was that you've now like thrown the degree option in the trash. You kind of said like, I'm going down this.
Well, I don't know. I might get a degree when I'm 30.
Yeah, but I guess this is what I'm going to say. Is like, there was now all this pressure to make something that was fun for me, to make it my career. Otherwise, it's like, I'm going to live in my parents' house or this is going to become my career. And when you're in that state, that's how you end up editing videos through the entire night. And like,
it's not fun, dude. Like, and I don't like, this sounds so discouraging probably to listen to and like, but it's truthfully like worse. It could potentially feel like a worse feeling than being in school and suffering. Like, that's something that I've been kind of contemplating over the last couple of weeks, is like, dude, like, this was supposed to be fun, dude. This was supposed to be my creative outlet, and now I'm rushing to get it out. It's so interesting because you like break out of the social norms of being in school, and you push past the boundaries and you meet all these friends and you feel so inspired by them, and then you don't start doing your own thing, probably. You start following what everyone else in the community is doing. So yes, you left school, which is go to college, get a job, whatever. You left that world, right? And you broke free. I realized that I broke free out of that just to get chained to another thing.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurial world, the creator world, is, if you're not aware of what you like and of what you love to do and of why you are really creating and why you really took the risk, you're going to fall right back into another set of handcuffs. Yeah. It's not going to be school. It could be something even worse, or it could be something just as bad as school. And that's what I've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks and months, is like, hold up, like, we're moving a bit quickly, right? We're moving a bit quickly for the business, right? And I love the guys. I love the guys I built the business with, and I don't plan on leaving. But it's like, no, like, come on. And then you start seeing everybody uploading weekly or working hard uploading. It's like, what if I want to take a break though? Like, but I can't. And everyone around me is going to start judging me for taking a break. Forget about taking on a job in the creator industry. You could get, there is a lot of judgment there as well. It's like, man, he's not taking risks anymore. He's taking on a job. Or like, little things like that. Like, if you're not aware of, again, what you love, you're going to fall back into handcuffs. And that's what I learned. Like,
yeah, that's really,
it's no different.
It's really interesting. I used to run around I used to be like the anti 9-to-5 guy. I would like talk to people at college, and I'd go, hey, well, what's your degree? And they'd be like, business. And I'd be like, do you want to work in an office? And 90% of the time they go, no. And I go, well, then why are you in business? Like, I was that guy. But now I'll never tell someone not to work a 9-to-5, and I'll never tell someone, if someone comes to me and they want my advice, I'll give them my advice, but I don't go out of my way to tell people 9-to-5 is better, or creator is better, or school's better, or not going to school. And what I realized, to me, on my opinion, I think a really big thing is purpose. When you go to school, they say, hey, get this done. Write this essay by Friday. Turn in this homework assignment next Monday. Mm-hmm. And what you might not be passionate. I don't like writing essays. I'm not passionate about math and work. But if I get those things done, it gives me a sense of purpose, just inherently. Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with a job. You go to a 9-to-5 job. They say, get this project done Thursday. We do this by Friday. You get those things done. You might not be passionate about them, but it gives you a sense of purpose. In the creator world, you don't have to do it. I could wake up and do nothing. You could wake up and do nothing. No one's holding you accountable, but you would feel like shit. And here's the like, on top of it is you could do work all day. I could film 5 podcasts in a row, and I forgot to turn my mic on every episode. I didn't advance anything, and now I just feel like horrible. It's like your sense of purpose as a creator has to be defined every day for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a really big barrier that breaks people, because when I think about like, well, why do people pursue jobs, or why do people pursue school when it's not what they're most passionate about? And that was the conclusion I came down to, was that it's like an easier sense of purpose, so you don't have to refine over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, man.
When I was watching your video on assholes, the question was, do you have to be an asshole to be successful?
Yeah.
What the question that came to me, the topic that I wanted to talk to you about, is Asterism Culture. And this is how I explain it.
Uh-huh.
Everyone in our parents' age, before iPhones or social media, it was way easier to be yourself because you weren't worried about what everyone else was thinking. And I don't
know about that, man. I don't know. Like humans are like just it by nature, like wanting to be a part of things, or like
yeah.
So it might have been different. It might be more extreme now.
I think that's what I was.
Yeah.
What I should get at, because you're right. People definitely cared what other people thought.
Everyone, yeah.
I think though that it's I was gonna say I don't want to limit this issue to like creators because even if you're just a regular girl on Instagram,
yeah,
like every single post is some sort of like you're creating a narrative about yourself, some sort of perception, some sort of story, and so it's like we live in like I guess I would call it an Asterism culture where it's like because everyone's always watching,
yeah,
you like, and I guess that this is something like I feel like you've been good at, but maybe you wouldn't feel it about yourself. Is like, how do you stay yourself when everyone's watching?
Or when you want or like when you want everyone to watch. Or like the thing is, it could feel like nowadays, like even it could feel like you get 1,000 views and you feel like nobody's watching you, but like that's 1,000 fucking people watching you, you know. But then it goes to the same thing, right? Like if people watching you, people not watching you, like you just can kind of conform. So is it like, so are you saying like how do I
guess
like,
can I say something about your YouTube channel? This is there was a quote that I really liked. I'm sure you've read it or heard it somewhere along the way. It was like, you don't want to like copy someone's video or the process. You want to copy how they made you feel.
Right.
And but when just to give you a little compliment, I don't really like, I don't like to say I quit YouTube because I know I'm going to release YouTube videos, but this is what I want to do. The YouTube is like, I'll do it when I do it. And
yeah.
The first time that I had any desire to create was just recently walking the Camino, because that was such a crazy story. I was like, I want to make a YouTube video about it. And when I think about how I want that video to make people feel, I really was like, I want this to feel like a Ryan Ng video. Like I want to make other people feel how your videos have been making me feel realistically.
Thank you, dude.
That's why it's like a huge honor for you to be here. But
yeah, man.
It's like, I don't know.
Like, how do I avoid the crowd, or like the crowd is what you're saying? Or like,
if I had been on the Camino 6 months ago, you know what I would have said? I would have said, this Camino is a great story. How do I tell it in the most efficient way? How do I package it the best and get the most views? But no, I don't even care about that. I just care now about like, and I think I'm like getting a lot of that from you is like, how did you go to, because you have eyes on you, like you have people, you have a community.
Yeah.
How do you, like, your content feels so original. There's nothing like it.
Thank you, man.
And how do you stay yourself when everyone's watching?
I just like very recently, I don't know, like it's so simple. Like, I don't know, I'm trying to like explain it in a way that makes a little bit more sense, but I just like stopped caring. I'm trying to not care, and I'm making like very active steps towards like, I'm taking very active steps towards releasing like control from my YouTube channel, if that makes any sense. Like, I'm very strongly considering like a 9-to-5. I'm very strongly considering not uploading that often and taking my like very, very sweet time with like my YouTube channel. There's this analogy that I was like using, like art, like, and it's because I just read Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, and it made me realize that art is very similar to like, you know, those dads that They come home from their 9 to 5. They go straight to their basement. You open up the basement, and it's this beautiful, like, landscape that they painted, or like this amazing like Lego structures, like this Lego world in the basement. You know those dads that have like their art project in the basement?
Cool.
So think about it. They're spending their own money. They're bending over their backs to make this thing. And they just worked a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And they're coming home for a couple hours a day before they tuck the kids into bed to work on this thing. In their basement, which is one of the most private places in the home, in the house. No one's ever going to see this. Yet they have this whole entire world built, whether that's paintings, Lego sets, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, the only thing that makes sense is that you're doing it because you love it and you have passion. When you're making art, and I'd like to think that I'm making art on YouTube. I'm not trying to build a business or whatever. Building a business on YouTube is a whole other conversation. But when you're making art on YouTube and music, whatever, you're that dad in the basement. The only difference is that you're trying to make money from it, and there are people watching you.
Yeah.
Or there are potentially people watching you. I think that a good chunk of an artist's career is learning to not give a fuck about the people watching you and the money that you make. Because the most important thing is that you're doing what you love and you're playing.
Yeah.
But it's very, very difficult. And I've been actively trying to take back my YouTube channel from all of the money and the views and all of the things that influence it. I'm trying to take it back. It's very, very difficult. And it's very, very hard to trust that that's the way. That is truly the way that you make shit that you love and that you're proud of. And also to reach your fullest potential. Like, that is the way to reach your fullest potential. If you want to be an artist, again, if you want to build a business, you should probably follow what Mr. Beast is doing. But like, if you want to do what Prince did, fucking like all these like great musicians and fashion designers and painters and filmmakers, Scorsese, Spike Lee, like, you just have to not give a fuck about any of that. You make the story regardless. And now it's easier than ever, right? There's really no excuse if you have an iPhone. You know, you got editing softwares on your phone. And if you have a laptop, you could pirate Premiere Pro. You could, like, there are free editing softwares like
DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah. So if to answer your question on like how I've been trying to like stay myself and stay original, it's to try to be like that dad that goes to their basement every day. It's to try and act as if, am I still going to want to do this if nobody's watching me? Yeah. Am I still going to want to do this if I'm not making money from it? Right now, the answer is yes. So I'm going to act that way. And I'm very privileged enough to have gone far enough to understand that and also get opportunities from that. So it's not hard for me to find a pretty good paying job like that will help sustain my health and my my future, as well as like keeping my films going.
That's like, yeah, that was a really good answer. And I think there was answers like in that answer that you didn't even like identify again at the end, which is that I think one thing that I would have pointed out based on your answer is acknowledging other routes. So like a lot of people in our world, they're like, I'm going to be a YouTuber or I'm going to die. Like, or I'm going to be a filmmaker or I'm going to die. Like, they have this mentality because of David Goggins, because of the self-help, like hustle culture. But I think that by you giving yourself that freedom of like, hey, if I had to, maybe if I want to, I'll take on a 9 to 5, or maybe like, and that was like a lot of the freedom was like, maybe it's not my YouTube channel. Maybe I do a podcast. Maybe I am like a Rick Rubin creative, a therapist for YouTubers, like make my own job. And I think by literally just allowing yourself to like have that wonder for other paths, it kind of helps your like main thing that you love become more of like more art again.
Yeah. You also don't know. I mean, as a 20-year-old, I don't know if that is even like, I love this right now, but what if what I love in the future is yoga? I don't know, you know, and being open to that is so important. And it's hard to let go, man. Like, it took me several years, you know, it took me many years to realize that.
You're like in your most primitive years, you're like teenage years, you're telling yourself that you are meant to be a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And so then when you're consider other things, you almost feel like you're betraying yourself. It's like, I've been telling myself this narrative that I'm going to be a YouTuber my whole life. And now I'm like considering other options, and you're like, you have to like accept that this version of yourself knows more about yourself than that younger kid.
Yeah. There's a Dave Chappelle. I didn't watch this. My friend told me about this, but there's a Dave Chappelle like episode or whatever. I don't know, one of his bits. But he was talking about these tribes in Africa. They don't know where the water is. They don't have the water. So what they do is they dig these little pits, right? They dig these little pits, not too shallow, and they pour a shit ton of salt in those pits. And the reason why is because monkeys in that area, they don't really get to taste salt, and they fucking love salt. They love salt. So when they put the salt there, the tribe doesn't need to put a trap. The tribe doesn't need to do anything. The monkey values the salt so much that it will hold onto it and never let it go. And it'll keep eating the salt, and it'll keep consuming it, so much so that, you know, the monkey will get thirsty. And then the tribe, they'll pick up the monkey, because they won't let go of the salt. They'll pick up the monkey and let it swing to the water. And that's how the tribe finds the water. But Dave Chappelle is like, as a comedian, as an artist, like, I am the monkey. And you could take that so many different ways, right? Like, analogy wise, like, the tribe are like the money hungry people, the businessmen that where the artist just helps guide you to where all the money is, you know, or in that case, like, you hold on, in this conversation's case, you hold on to the salt for so fucking long, and you won't let it go, and you don't even know that that there are other things, or that people can take advantage of you. You're just so tunnel vision on this. I want to be a musician. I want to be an artist. And you don't even protect yourself. And that's another thing that I've been learning a lot is, like, as an artist, you have to protect yourself. There are a lot of things in this world that want to fuck you up, you know? And that's not to say, like, to tell everyone to fuck off, but, like, be cautious, man. Like, I think as an artist and a lot of maybe emotional and vulnerable people, maybe their life starts off beautifully because everyone is their friend, you know? That businessman in Morgan Stanley that is being nice to me and buying me lunch, that is my friend. But I don't know that he's, like, taking advantage of me until 3 years later, and they're getting 20% royalties on my films and stuff like that, you know? Like, anyways, like, that's a whole other conversation. But the other thing is, like, it's really important to protect yourself as an artist and protect your vulnerability and that's what makes you special, but that's also what people can take advantage of, you know?
Yeah, that was a really interesting analogy.
Yeah.
I think in one of the quotes that stood out to me in the Rick Rubin book was, he says, if you're creating anything based on the assumption that other people will like it, that it is no longer art, it's commerce.
It's something else. Yeah.
Because it's commerce. And that's true. Like, I almost think of like certain YouTubers who are like, they know exactly what the audience wants, and then they go, all right, this video worked good, so we're going to create another variation of the same thing, and it's like, and a lot of people love business. They love commerce.
Yeah.
I think that's like a respectable thing.
Yeah, if you want to make money and that's what you value and that's what you enjoy, like, go do that, you know?
But I think that I think that there's also this gap where, like, so people, like, YouTube changed so much so fast, so that people like me or you, maybe we had some sort of inspiration. Maybe you looked up to David Dobrik or whoever, and you go, I want to, like, for me, the example was I was kind of a lonelier kid in high school, and these people made me feel not alone. I would watch their daily vlogs, and I would go, it was so easy for me to choose to be a YouTuber because I go, I want to make other kids feel how this guy made me feel.
Yeah.
And so you go, how do I do that? I become a YouTuber. And then you enter the YouTube space. It's only a couple of years later, and that content is now Mr. Beast content or this other content. And you
become something else. Yeah.
You're not worried about, you're not thinking from a perspective of how did that person make me feel anymore. You're thinking of, that person was a YouTuber. How do I become a YouTuber? And you start to try to play this game, but the game is not what you were originally in love with.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes a lot of effort and a lot of mental strength to break out of that, you know? And a lot of people, they just say, fuck it, and they quit, you know? But think about it, man. Like, to tell someone to let go of all of the social norms that were established before you.
Yeah.
You've already taken the risk to drop out of school.
Yeah.
You think you're going to want to take more risks against that whole entire fucking industry that is telling you that uploading consistently is important. Having the 5 seconds really quick, you know, like as engaging as possible is really important. That is so hard to break because you're already fighting so much. You might be fighting your parents. You might be fighting your friends from back at home. And now you come to this world and there's another narrative. A lot of people just assume that this is what you need to follow to chase your dreams. You know, you just need to go down the Mr. Beast route. That is my dream. But no, like that might be your dream, but what was it really, you know? And a lot of people don't know. A lot of people quit before they ask themselves that because they're like, yep, this dream is not for me, I guess. Yeah.
You couldn't convince me that someone, like, you see all these Mr. Beast copycats where they make similar videos. You couldn't convince me someone other than Mr. Beast is like doing what they truly love because like that didn't exist. So it's like, unless you just now in the last 2 years kind of decided this was your thing because you loved the way Mr. Beast made you feel and you want to recreate that, it's like almost like a majority of the people who want to be creators, the whole main wave of YouTube wasn't even an existing thing. So you couldn't tell me that was like what you were super passionate. You would have to be like way ahead of your time to even come up with that as like your internal passion, which is interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to move somewhere else.
Let's do it. Yeah.
This is an interesting concept. It's like totally different, but kind of related. It's about girls.
Okay.
I have found, this is so weird to say, but I have found that the girls that I've liked the most in my life have been the ones that I didn't end up, like I didn't date or I didn't like get to be with them in any form. And I think this about it. is hard, but I think you'll appreciate this. I think that when you like someone and you don't actually get to be with them, so they don't become your girlfriend, they don't become like, you don't end up having a thing with them.
Yeah.
Yes, you've hung out with them. Yes, you know their personality, but now for creative people like you and me, it almost becomes like a playground in your mind where like you create what that relationship could be in your head, and therefore it's, I guess I had an experience where I dated someone and they didn't have any, like, they were my dream girlfriend.
Yeah.
But I felt like they didn't live up
to your expectations.
But I think that it was because that I'm such a creative, story-driven person that like when you're not with someone, you can make a perfect reality of what it would be like in your head.
Yeah.
What do you think of that concept? That's like not a question, but do you understand where I'm going from?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
It's almost like more enjoyable to like someone than to actually be with them, because you can like create this whole, and I don't think that's reality. I think that it's like a lie that I have fallen to as like a super creative person, but I don't think it's reality.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
I'm curious if you've ever had and I don't think that goes so far with only romantic relationships either. I think that goes with anything, because maybe I'm thinking about meeting Anthpo today. He's going to come here later. And maybe I'm like dreaming of like the friendship that we could have, or like
and it's not like, it's not that.
I think I almost did that. I think I almost did that with Chris. Like when I first met Chris, I was like, damn, Chris like has a sick company. Like he's flying to Polaroid. Like, wow. Like what if one day, like me and Chris were best friends, and like I got to be a part of those adventures or those journeys or whatever. And it's like almost like when they say like comparison is a thief of joy, and like when you create a reality for some sort of relationship in your head, that's like in itself another comparison, and you're never gonna live up to that comparison if you're like a real creative, positive thinker, because it's like that's just like you're creating literally the best possible reality in your head.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I actually don't know if I feel like that. I've only been in one relationship, and it was 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, it was 4 years long.
I've also only been in one relationship.
I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know what I think about that though. I don't know what I think about that, because I don't know if I dream. We can't really put myself in that position right now, because I'm trying to like really think.
Dude, this might be like also like a super like micro niche thing. Like,
I know what you mean, like, and I think it is. I think people do feel that way. Like,
but I also feel like it's like, and maybe this is like me having an ego or something, but I feel like it's not like a common thing, because I feel like a lot of life is accepting that, like, or a lot of finding happiness is accepting that reality is actually the best possible version you could have of something. So it's like, in the case of YouTube, maybe accepting that me right now with 500 subscribers, I can be just as happy as if I had 5 million. And maybe I've accepted that on YouTube, and I think I am accepting it in relationships too. But I think that a flaw of my first relationship was that I was in it and it was great. Like I was with someone that was freaking amazing, but I was like creating a better reality in my head to compare it to. And I think that a lot of life is like, I mean, you've maybe heard the quote, like, if you want anxiety, like think about the future. If you want depression, think about the future.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I know.
And it's like, I'm realizing like so much of like happiness is just in the present. In almost every industry, every relationship, every place, if you like
everything,
if you create a narrative that is not like literally here right now, then I think it's a negative thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say, no, I agree with you. I mean, I would say that for me, my problem isn't that. My problem might be the opposite, which is like actively like looking for like red flags or I don't fucking know what I'm saying, but like,
Yeah.
because I know the relationship is going to be imperfect.
Yeah.
So like searching for that before anything ever happens, you know,
Like almost, correct me if I'm wrong, but almost like looking for someone that would fit the like red flag narrative. Is it like,
I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know if I could answer your question very
Might not be a-
solidly.
and you know what I think like a difficulty in this podcast is that I'm not really an interviewer. So like when I think about like the two industry leaders of podcasting, maybe you have Joe Rogan on one hand and you have Call Her Daddy on the other hand, like two giant podcasts. Well, Joe Rogan to me is a very good interviewer. If you go on Joe Rogan's page, you're not going to listen to every episode. You're going to scroll down, wait till you see someone you know, play that episode, and then maybe listen again when someone else you know comes. Call Her Daddy fans, on the other hand, they don't care who she's interviewing, if she's interviewing anyone. They love her personality and her jokes. They love her conversation. And it's when I like think of myself as a podcaster, like where on that spectrum do I want to land? I realize that I like myself much better as a conversationalist than than an interviewer. But like a majority of I don't have a co-host, which most conversational podcasts are either co-host or solo. I film in an interview style.
Yeah.
And so I try to keep the conversation, like I try to keep it very conversational. And I'm realizing I'm trying to have a conversation with you, but then like turn it into interview questions.
Right.
Which
right. Yeah.
makes it like it's not. I think that's where like some of the disparities coming here. I'm just trying to like say thoughts and then like have you say your thoughts on the same.
Yeah, I can't answer that thought about girls. But that's really interesting. I know what you mean.
Like, yeah, and it's almost like the goal is not for you to answer it, but maybe for it to like.
Well, I don't have any thoughts about it.
Thoughts. And I like to like get really, because again, going back to the soul wealth, like if I'm really like having this conversation to have it, then it's okay if I'm sitting here explaining to you how I want my podcast to be. Because it's like it's not about them. But I hope that something about that is interesting for them. But I don't know.
I'm sure something is.
And that's like one of the things I really love about the Rick Rubin book. Like I think my favorite chapter of it is the silent rules. It's like every industry has its silent rules. Maybe on YouTube it used to be like upload consistently every week, have good packaging. And like I felt that one of the silent rules for podcasting was record indoors. And I was like, but why? Like, so let me just record outdoors.
Yeah.
And maybe another silent rule is like you don't just break off on tangents talking about your podcast on your podcast. It's like, if I want to do that, I might as well just experiment and do it because it's not what other people are doing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting.
I feel you.
I guess
there are a lot of silent rules in in everything. Yeah, that's what I was like saying before of like you'll just like fall back into another set of rules if you don't create your own.
I have a question.
Yeah.
That is like a question.
Okay.
If you're like I feel like a lot of your videos have alluded to the fact that like creating is lonely and that you have kind of solved a bit of that problem through Creator Camp and through like meeting these people and building business with them. why, when they all went to Europe to like have this epic adventure, do you choose to stay back? Because it's almost
Because I didn't want to go. Like, I don't know. Like, I just didn't like. What is your question? Yeah.
I guess what I was gonna say is like, it almost feels like you presented this idea on your YouTube channel, which is that like, I'm lonely because I'm creating alone, and I found people, and then there's a situation to go be with those people, and you're like, wait, I'd rather create alone.
You could feel even more lonely around people than you are alone. Do you know what I mean?
But do you feel that way around them?
I could
Sometimes.
for sure. Yeah. And it's because of the differences in our personality. I love those boys, but like, you know, again, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, like I'm not an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I can't talk about business 24/7. And like, I'm someone that is also very easily reliable on people. Like, I just rely on people, you know, and I'm trying to build this life for myself where I'm a little bit more independent and where I don't have to fall into silent rules and fall into another set of handcuffs. And I knew that if I went to Europe, the handcuffs and the silent rules that I would fall into was going to be theirs. It was going to be their rules that they are fucking in love with and they're having the time of their life, but it's not for me, you know? And I really appreciate them because they understand that and they're giving me the space that I need to go find what that is for myself, you know? But I just couldn't go. I didn't want to go because I knew it was going to be, it's something that I really want to do. Going to Europe is something that I really want to do. But I need to do it for myself.
Yeah.
I can't do it because they wanted me to do it. You know? I have things that I am working through here in New York, you know? So that's why I couldn't go.
The thing that stood out to me the most about your answer there was, and so for context, I was just in Europe traveling with people who were strangers who went on to become my best friends. And I'm not going to say who was who.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate that you said that, because when I was traveling, I loved every person I was traveling with. Like, they each individually taught me lessons, and I laughed with all of them. I like smiled with all of them. But there were certain ones where when I was traveling with them, we're still eating meals, we're still having good times together, where I felt alone. And it was not because I didn't love them or not because we couldn't have fun together, but because I didn't feel like our personalities were like similar.
Or they just can't see what it is that you see, and that's fine because they are them and you are you. But imagine being in that 24/7 for 2-3 months.
Yeah. But,
you know?
But I was going to say, and I don't know if this is, I have a question at the end of this. But I was going to say, with some of them, I felt like, dude, I could travel like forever. Like I was like, I just feel like, so like, you're on such the same wavelength as me that it just I feel like we can do anything. And like, some of the stuff we were doing was wild, walking 20 miles a day in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, dude, I could walk 100 miles with you in the middle of nowhere. But in the other people, it's not that I love them any more or less, but I was like, us doing fun excursions in this place, like, I feel alone because we don't like, which I think is like an interesting, it actually almost made me feel bad internally, because it almost made me feel like, well, shouldn't I be having like, why? Because your energy is always on display, like, where it's like, I'm not being an asshole because internally I'm a little bit more alone, but I know that I'm not as fun to the people around me when I'm not internally like super, super happy. And so I would like be guilty because I'd be like, I'm like not giving this person as much of a good time as I gave the other person, but it's just because like,
you can't.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Yeah.
That's what
I have gotten, so to answer that, like, and to like jump off of that, like, I've built such strong relationships with my co-founders.
Yeah.
But so much so that we understand that we're very, very different people. It's like the yin and yang, like, you know? So, and they can't see what I see and I can't see what they see.
Yeah.
That is also really great for building businesses, but it could also destroy businesses and relationships and friendships. But if you know how to deal with it, and if you know how to like protect your energy and then have them protect their energy, like that is, I don't know, that is like, I think one of the most important things that you can do, and one of the most important things to learn in this journey of life. Because I even realized, like, there's a point where like it's very, very easy to build resentment if you're spending too much time around people that don't have the same energy as you. You could grow to hate those people, you know? And you just want to have this feeling of like just wanting to run away and hang out with people that are like you, or be alone. You'll feel less lonely alone than you feel around certain people. But again, you could build this resentment and this hatred, which, like, not gonna lie, like, I felt that, and I'm sure that my friends were seeing that within me, that energy building up inside. But also coming to terms with like, bro, like it's like the yin and yang thing. They're always gonna be there. If you leave that group of people, you're gonna find another group of people just like that in this world. You can never escape that. And these are my best friends, and they're gonna be in the same industry that I'm gonna be in for probably 50, 60, 70 years. Maybe not 70, we're gonna be dead by then, but like 50 years or, you know, for the next 50 years, we're gonna be in the same industry. So I better learn how to deal, not with them, but with that energy. I better learn how to deal with the opposite of me. And if I don't, I'm going to destroy myself.
I think it's a really respectable decision on your end. Because
I'm very glad I made that decision.
It's like, and there's also like, I don't know if you're someone who struggled with FOMO. I used to. Same with me. And,
not anymore, I would say. Well, I do, yes. I can't lie. I do struggle with FOMO.
But it was from
much
work.
less.
Yeah, that's
much less.
That's very similar to myself. And but I think that's good, because you could have some sort of instant FOMO where it's like, oh, all my friends going across Europe.
I feel zero FOMO about not being in Europe. I feel zero FOMO about not being in Europe.
But I think it's because I guess I don't want to speak on your behalf, but I would presume that it's because I would presume it's because you understand that energy concept, and that's like a really important thing to realize. And I think I'm in a phase that a lot of creators go through, or not even creators, a lot of entrepreneurs, risk takers, which is the yes phase, where you say yes to everything, opportunity. Like, I didn't know who I was traveling with, but like, bro, it's freaking Elliot, my hero, and he's sending me to walk across Spain, and I don't have the money for it, and he's providing it, and it's like, yes. And I think I'm just like, even maybe in this like conversation, starting to realize that, and I don't regret any of it. Like, it's been the best time of my life.
Yeah.
But
I had a yes face too.
But I know that I like couldn't have a yes face forever. Like, it has to come to.
That's really good.
An end. And I think the energy thing, and another really good thing I like that you pointed out about it is it was all about yourself. In that it has to be about yourself.
It is you. It is not them.
It's never them. And
it can't be them, because you can't control them. You know, you can only worry about what the fuck you can only worry about what the fuck you can do. You know, the
thing about that too is I'm a strong believer in like attracting, not seeking. That was another thing the Camino taught me. But and if you are the type of person, let's say, I can even give you like a relationship example. Is a lot of people break up with their girlfriend and then they go, and then someone goes, oh, why did you break up with your girlfriend? And they go, well, my girlfriend did this. Maybe my girlfriend didn't support my YouTube channel enough, or my girlfriend was not open-minded, or she was this and this and this. And those things could all be true. They could be 100% true. But it does you no good because you are not improving. At least I'm under the belief that you attract like the same. I'm under the belief that you attract people of similar, like, kind of level. Or I don't like the word.
Well, you attract whatever you put out into the world.
Exactly. And so that's what I was trying to say. And if you attract whatever you put out in the world, and what you're putting out is, it wasn't my fault, it was other people's fault, then basically what you're saying, whether it's your girlfriend or it's your friends, you're saying, I don't need to change, and I'm just going to attract new people who are better, which I don't think is how it works. And I think that when you make, do they need to come in here? They say, when you make the effort to, like, say, all right, well, why did I break up with my girlfriend? Here's what I did wrong. I did this, this, and this wrong. Or here's how I let my energy go. Then you're going to be improving yourself, and therefore you're going to attract people with making the same.
It's going to hurt, but like...
Yeah.
It's going to hurt, but that's part of the growth, you know?
I think that with anything you do, your ability to put it up at risk, like, I think with anything you do, your ability to get feedback and take it like without hurt is such a, like, whether it's a YouTube video, if I can show you a YouTube video beforehand and not be offended, and that goes for not just like being offended at you, but internally, like, really taking your feedback and really being like, oh, Ryan's doing this out of love, whether that's me asking you about my YouTube video, my song, my business, my, like, whatever, being able to, like, really, really, like, criticize yourself and see that, I think that's, like, a really good trait.
It's important. It's knowing yourself in every way possible. Not only knowing what you like and what you're good at or whatever, but knowing what you're bad at and knowing what makes you nervous, all of that stuff. And deep down, you know it.
Yeah.
But it's so, so, so hard to say it out loud and to, like, shout it out into the world. You don't even, not even to shout it out into the world, but to write it down in a journal that no one else is going to see. Even that's hard, you know? But if it's really, really important to be honest with yourself. Yeah, I think that's the only way you grow, really.
I think Chris told me once that you...
Sorry.
We can wrap it up soon.
No. Let me... I don't want to be... I just need to make sure that... Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
I probably...
Should I ask you my outro question? We can...
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for shitting your show.
Yeah, dude. Sorry about that. Like...
No, it's, like, totally my fault, too, because I wasted...
I need to go out and get some stuff.
Last question. I ask every guest this question. That's why it's important. When you die, what do you want people to say about you?
And I would have said it.
And the reason I ask people that question is because I think it's the best question for engineering a soul wealth answer, because no one's going to say, I want to be remembered for my subscribers. They're going to say, I want to be remembered for it's whatever's important to you.
That, let me think about this.
It's not like, just to clarify, it's not like what you want to be remembered. It's what you want people to
I know.
about you.
Yeah. I don't know, but
Meaning that I did so
I mean, like, the first thing that came into my mind was, like, I mean, it's so simple, but like if just that you were a good, like honest, genuine person, and that you tried, that I tried my best to put good into the world. Like I was a good dad, or I was as good of a creator as I could have been, you know, and that if I pass away with the amount of subscribers that I have right now, like it's like, damn, like he did not cut any corners. Like he really kept his promise, you know, he really tried to live life honestly and stuff like that. I think that's
a good answer. And I would say like at least like your effect on my life has been like you've definitely helped me to just like create more as like myself and not for others. And I've been very inspired about how your videos make me feel, and I hope that if I do decide to make a video about the Camino, that it would be like, if I can make someone feel how your videos make me feel, that would be freaking amazing.
That means a lot, dude. Thank you, man. Hugs.
Hugs, not handshake. Dude, you waited so long with me, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, dude.
We just gotta take a Polaroid real quick.